So this is a intro to developing for the Playdate. Uh, I'm actually learning it as I'm creating this video. Um, so first things first, we go into Dev, you download the SDK, and you install it. This should create a folder like this called Playdate, and in it there is the Playdate simulator. After you install the SDK, you can go into inside Playdate, which is the documentation for how to code with it. It would be good to take time to read through this. It gives you a lot of interesting details. But let's go first. You want to set up your environment using, if you're on a Mac, you want to set it for your Z profile. And this will make it so you can run your game source in and your game file. So if you take a look, I run PDC on my current directory. I run it on this file. This compiles it to this. This is to compile the file. So you can type in PDC, the directory that you want to compile, which is the current working directory, and the actual output file that you want to use. And then on Mac, I just write open, and then I type in the actual output file. The output file is actually a directory because it creates basically an app folder for it. So starting out, I create a directory in Visual Studio Code with the main.lua file. If you go and go through the documentation, developing a basic Playdate game, there is an example file here. And that is what we're using initially in our code base in Visual Studio Code. If you note, there's a player image, so you need to actually have an image in there, so this way this will work. And in the images directory, I created that image. I actually took a screenshot of one of the, see if I can find it, this here, and I dropped it into the directory. If you notice, this is a color image, but Playdate only works in black and white. It seems to actually handle this just fine. And if I actually run the compilation of it and then open the actual application, you can see I can have my little shape here. I can make it move around. I wrote a little bit of code prior to this video to actually test things out to make it so I can rotate it. So if you go to the Playdate update, I can take the player sprite that they set up in that example code, and I set the rotation of it to be Playdate get crank position. And basically I can rotate this image. So this one line here is all it took to make it so the crank can rotate this image. These ones here handle the up, down, left, and right for the sprite. And going up to the top here, we can look a little bit at this code and see what happens. So this grabs the image, it creates a new image from it. It stores the image data object. It uses assert to make sure that the object is actually set. If I did something like this, mess up that, and run it again, it will tell me that there is a assertion failure, function assert, in my game setup, which is right here in the main chunk. So somewhere there's an assert problem, and this is the only one that could be. So we take an image and we turn it into a sprite. A sprite is an object that has a bunch of methods on it and basically makes it so you can move things around. I believe it also allows you to do animations on it, and you can add and remove it from a scene. So this is crucial. So if we go down here, this is what will actually paint onto the screen that sprite. So let's run that again. All right, so the sprite appears. If I comment that line out, we get no sprite. So this will go through all of the sprites that are added. We could set it some logic in here. We can say if player sprite dot y is greater than 300. So there's a $250 pixel, actually 150. The Playdate dimensions are 400 wide and 250 high. So if we go too far below this, we can make it so we can take this, we can make it so it can be removed and hidden or added back depending upon where it is on the screen. So let's give that a try. Oh, it's disappeared. But if I bring it up, it comes back. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make it so there can be many objects on the screen, and there can be multiple scenes. So a character can go from one scene to another. We can have a loading screen. We can have basically levels, whatever. So first we're going to wind up creating a set of scenes. So to set scenes, we're first going to create a scenes object, and we'll have one scene called loading screen, and it will have need a pair of parentheses. Oh. So it will have objects. Let's see if this works. It does. So why is it complaining so much? Let's call it scenes as uppercase. Okay, so when you're defining a global, it should be uppercase. All right, we can do that. double quotes for that. Will that make it happier? Missing curly bracket symbol. That's not what I want, though. So we're going to first create a loading screen. And it will have objects. And we'll create a game screen. And it will have objects. Current scene equals loading screen. Scenes. That loading screen. And let's make sure this all works still. Nice. All right. So now let's just have the loading screen actually have our sprite, just because we want to have something to test. So we'll say added equals false. So we should have loading screen, we should have setup equals false. And if not, if current scene not set up. So if it's not set up yet, then we should set it all up. And which that means is we need to iterate through these objects. So to iterate through the objects, we're going to say for I equals 1, number of current scene dot objects. Do current scene in this uppercase. Do objects. Hey, let's do this. Let's see, so we want to get the sprite. And we want to add it. Oh. Sorry, I write JavaScript normally, so I've been typing that. And then objects. All right, there we go. Now, the loading screen should have player sprite. Oh, we want to make it so added equals true. So let's try that out and see if it actually loads. It does, and it still works. And just to verify, if we didn't have this add, that's interesting. Unexpected symbol near. Oh, 76. So the problem was that you can't use that. You have to use the word not. So not current scene setup. And now when we finish up, we want to set current scene setup to true. Perfect. So unrecognized file types are being copied by default. Oh, okay. We can just skip. All right. Let me just take this out of here. Okay. There we go. All right. I had a web location in there, and that isn't useful in the actual file, in this actual directory. So our game that we're going to develop is going to be a game where you can drive around your tank and shoot things, and those things are going to be evil robots that are trying to steal your jewels. Using Midjourney, I created a image, this one here. Figure it makes a good like Atari looking type image where you have some jewels and you have a tank. And I took that and crushed it down to a 1-bit image. So this way we can use it in the actual game itself as the loading screen. But this one will be for basically the web-based images for the game. So now we have a loading screen. We can change the scene at any time. We need to take a look and see how to actually put just an image up. So my initial design was this for the loading screen before I went off to Midjourney and came up with something like this. We're going to try and include this into the logo up here somehow. But first, let's see if we can actually just take this image and stick it in the game. So it does come with an example here. Set background drawing callback. So let's we want to uncomment that. We want to uncomment this, and we're going to use and change images to lowercase. We're going to use JewelDefender.pdx. All right. Let's see what happens. All right, and you can move around. Oh, that's nice. Okay, so all right, so that's the loading screen, and we'll set the background to loading screen. All right, let's move this down to another line, move this down to another line. All right, and objects, and this closes out the scene. Okay, so we've got a player sprite added false. We can get rid of this. Actually, we don't even need this here because we're never testing for whether or not something is added. We just check to see if the current scene is set up. And then what we can do is we can say, all right, let's take and put the background in. Let's put that in before any objects are drawn. And we want current scene, background image. Oops. And do we have it as the background image for the scene? No, we just have it called background. We can get rid of this. And let's give that a try. All right. So we have the initial load screen with JewelDefender there. Now, let's go over to a sprite, and we are going to this one here. right, so we're going to take this. Let's see, we want to open it in Sprite. And we want to select let's try and select about that much and see if that fits onto the 400 by 2. It's a little bit too big. It's a lot too big. All right, let's take this and scale it down. First, I want to create a duplicate of it because I kind of like it the way it was. So copy and paste. All right. Now sprite, adjust size. So we're going to make the width 400 pixels. Oops. Let's lock the ratio. It's going to be 400 pixels wide. Wow, that really didn't seem to save very much at all. Let's first trim it down some. Let's crop. Yeah, it's really noisy. We just lose too much information here. All right. Well, it's going to be just sort of the impression of it, I guess. So we want to get just the black text here. So we want to try and select, where's the magic wand at? Rectangular tool, contour tool, blur tool. Select color range. Okay. Let's copy that. And paste this. Well, that's invisible. That's not visible at all. Can we invert colors? Ooh. let's try and copy that and paste that. JewelDefender. That's cool. So the real question is, do we want just a real basic image like this, or do we want something a little fancier? I think it's kind of neat. Gives a little bit more to the imagination. So let's save this. Canvas size is 400 by 240, so it's perfect. All right, so BW loading. Oh, that's cool. All right, looks kind of explosive in a way. I think what we're going to want to do is we want to have this be a game that's all black and the artwork be all white. All right, so now we need to grab some of our assets for this. So the first image we have is of this tank that I designed. Just simple pixel art of a black tank. Now, since we're going to go with a black background for this, we're going to need to make him white. So let's see. We want to select. There's no wand. Let's see. So to select this, we want to use our magic wand, select it, and then we're going to invert. Okay. We're also going to invert this. Alright, so this will make a nice white tank on a transparent background. I'm not sure how transparency works in Playdate, but we'll find out. Eventually we're going to add animations where these treads can move when you move the tank around. But just to start out with, let's try it out with just a static image. So what we're going to do is, here's a nice little tank on a black background. That's nice. We're going to go back. We're going to change the player image to be tank.png. Let's rename this guy. Just to be tank. All right. Oh, he's very small, but we can see that the background works pretty well with him. Let's move him to a darker field here. And he even looks good rotated to various different angles. So that's good. We won't have to create images for him in all different angles for this. All right. So now we need to create a new scene. We're going to make the objects this. And we got to make curly brackets. Let's format this document. That's the best it's going to do. Okay. Setup is false. So we're going to need some timing because, so first off, let's get rid of this sprite here. So there's no objects in the loading screen. They're just the background image. And we'll make the background for this the game field. In the game field, we're going to create a new image, 400 by 200. I'm sorry. Let's make sure that we get this right. 400 by 240. Okay. 240. It's going to be indexed. Let's make the background black. That's good. All right, we can save this as projects, JewelDefender images, and we'll call this game field. All right. Oh, we saved it as an ASprite file. We want to file export it as a PNG. There we go. All right. Okay, so let's move the ASprite file out of there. Okay. Delete. All right, so now we run it, no big deal. So what we want to do is change scene. So let's create a function, change scene. And new scene. All right. So to do that, I'm going to wind up doing all this stuff. say previous scene equals current scene. And current scene equals new scene. And so it does all the setup as needed. We need to go through and do, so we want previous scene.setup equals false. So the previous scene no longer is set up. And while doing that, actually, let's first remove all the objects first. All right, so we remove all the objects from the previous scene. How do you get the background off? I guess it's not really necessary since this is just going to redraw all over it. Sprite, set background, drawing, callback. Okay. That should be sufficient then. All right. And let's change scene to current scene to start out with. All right. And this should still look the same. Change scene, global change scene is not available, no value. Let's set this up at the end. So it was probably because this was coming before we called that function. There we go. All right. JewelDefender. All right, so if, actually, let's give these guys names. Name equals loading screen. And name equals game screen. If current scene equals dot name equals loading screen, then so we need to do something with timers. I wonder, let's comment this out for a moment. Time, print time. Let's see what that actually prints in the console. 32. Let's see if there's anything there. Hold on, nil. Okay. So there's a timer. All right. Playdate timer provides a timer-based timer useful for handling animation, timings, countdowns, and performing tasks. You know what? Function loading screen controls. We shouldn't do it by timer. Let's and update equals loading screen update, and loading screen update is a function, and let's see. So we want if the button down. So there's two buttons. I think they're called A and B. Let's see what we got. A and B, yep. So we say if button is pressed, then end. We want to change the scene to be scenes game screen. At the beginning of each thing, we should do current scene. Update. Yep. And this will run that. These guys aren't necessary. All right. I press A. Field update is not callable, nil value. All right. Current scene. Loading screen update. Let's move that up. I don't think it'll matter Let's try that again. Update is not callable. A nil value. What if I just do this? Wait a second. Oh, there's no... Okay. So the loading scene is the current scene. When we run update, we're running this. Here, we can put this back down here. We don't have... So this will change the current scene to the game screen. The game screen doesn't have an update, so that needs an update. And it needs game screen update. Game screen update. Should actually do the controls for the tank. So let's take all these, replace this for that. So this will take care of the game screen. All right. All right, and then let's try that. So press A. Update is not callable still. All right. No. Let's try that again. So we call this change scene happens, and we should be here in the game screen update. All right, so we are successful in that. All right. The loading screen update. So we are here. So we're setting up. Current scene.name. So we need to make sure that the actual background is getting set for the current scene. Setting up loading scene. Okay, very good. Setting up game screen. All right, so that worked. It only appeared for a second, but all right. Let's get rid of the here. So what this means is this is not properly redrawing. So set background drawing callback. Draw callback is routine to specify that implements your background drawing. Callback should be a function taking x, y, width, and height. All right. So it sets the Z index to be the lowest possible value and adds the sprite to the display list so it will be drawn in the current scene. Background sprite ignores draw offset and will not automatically redrawn when the draw offset changes. Use Playdate sprite redraw background if necessary in this case. Draw callback will be called from the newly created background sprites. And is where you should do your background drawing. Well, let's try redraw background. Alright, so that's not clear. For additional background, here's an implementation of set drawback. This does not reflect how you should use the callback in your game. For example, of game usage, basic game in Lua. Well, that's doesn't show you how to replace the background. And do I have a different... Oh, the game field was not changed. Okay, now it should work. All right. I don't see any tanks though. Okay, so I do not see it say got object added. Okay, it says setting up, the scene name. Okay. Okay, so there are 0 objects. Why is that? Because I didn't set it up correctly. All right. There we go. Now we have a tank. Look at that tank go. It's moving. All right. Well, it doesn't really move the way direction it's pointed, but that's to be expected right now. So this was session number 1. we'll try another one soon.